Alright, it's time for another video. This one's all about tiles. If you like tile map layers, this is the video for you. We're going to be looking at terrain sets, tile data, animated tiles, pattern tiles, everything tiles, guys. This is going to be a very tiley video. At the end of the video, we're going to do a bit of an advanced topic for procedural decorative tile placement as well. Hopefully one of those topics sounds interesting to you, and let's crack into the video. One more thing before we start the video. I actually made this tile set, so if it looks cool to you, it's a really good way to support the channel. And please like and subscribe, and make sure to comment too. I'm always curious to see what you guys have to say. Alright, without further ado, let's get into the video. Okay, so I already have a project made here, but I'm gonna just show you guys how to set up the auto tiling. So I have a level scene here. This is just a node 2D that I named level 0. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and do Control A, which will add a child. And I'm going to add a node 2D. And I'm going to name this TileMpLayers. This is going to hold all of our tile map layers, and we're going to name all of our layers specific names so we know which one we're clicking on when we're interacting with the scene and placing down tiles. So I'm going to go ahead and add a tile map layer. Okay, there we go. I'm going to name this tile map layer foreground. Perfect. Okay, there we go. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to initialize my tile set. I'm going to make a new tile set. So what you want to do is you want to come over here on the right side where your inspector panel is. And you want to click on the empty tab here. And we're going to create tile set. And at first nothing's going to pop up. But if you go ahead and click on it, you're going to get a couple options here. And for our asset pack, we're going to be using a 16 by 16 tile, which is already the default, so we do not need to change that. We're going to add a couple other things. We're going to go to physics layer. We're going to click on physics layer, and we're going to add element. And then we're going to come down to terrain set, add element. And then you want to click on terrains, and then click add element. And we're going to name this ground. And we'll give it a color. Let's do red or something. So next thing we want to do is we want to come to tile set, and we want to hit the little plus button here. And it's going to ask us if we want to do a scene collection or an atlas. And what we want to do is we want to do an atlas. It's going to say, do you want to select everything? And we'll say sure. So there's quite a bit going on here, so I'm going to open this up a little bit. So right now, if we go to our tile map and we try to place stuff down, and I select one of my tiles, you're going to see it just makes like all the same tile. It doesn't automatically fill stuff in. But wouldn't it be nice if we could just move this around and it would know exactly which tile to place? It would save a lot of time when prototyping levels. So that's what we're going to be doing right now. So to set that up, we need to go into tile set, go to paint, and then we need to click on select a property, and we want to click on terrains. So right now we're for terrain set, we have nothing selected. So if we go ahead and we click our terrain set 0, we want to select every block that we want in our terrain set. So we want all of the ground blocks because this is our ground terrain set. Like if I click here, you can see ground 0, but you need to select all the blocks you want first. So you'll see that they're highlighted by this white block. So I'm going to go ahead and select all of the ground tiles. So now that we have all of those selected, you're going to go ahead and click on terrain, and we're going to hit our ground 0 here. This is our ground terrain set. And now when you zoom in, you're going to see a smaller box. So that means we're doing it right. So what we want to do for this tile set specifically, we want to create basically like an outline of all of the dirt or like the dark part, and leave the outer rim unhighlighted. This is how Godot's auto tiling system works, so I'll show you. So I'll come in here I'm gonna outline everything like that. If you accidentally do one, you can just do Control Z and it'll go away. So you have to do that for every single one of these. So we're gonna speed it up. Alright, so I'm all done setting that up. Yours should look something like this. Make sure we have every single thing filled in. It's super important everything gets filled in or it will not work properly. These tiles over here are actually going to be doing something interesting. We're going to come back to these later, but what basically is going to happen is as we're auto tiling, it's going to put random variations of the base tile here. So this tile is our base tile, but all of these are actually the same spec as that tile. So they're going to replace our basic tile. So it creates more variation when we're building our levels. We can tweak their probability later on after we've set everything up and tested that everything's working. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to make this a little smaller. I'm going to go to tile map. So if we now click in here, it still doesn't work. Okay, so the reason for that is because there's a whole nother tab for terrain. So if we click on the terrains tab, we're now going to see we have a terrain set up here. So if I click on that, you're going to see all of these segments of our tile set here. Luckily, we do not need to worry about any of this stuff. The main thing we need to click on is this first highlighted option here. So if we click on the drawing tool, you're now going to see when I color in objects here, it fills it in for us, which is super cool. Yeah, so it seems to be working properly. This way you can really build levels quickly. Like you can come in with the rectangle tool and just start building. It's insanely quick. I wish I'd known about this earlier. But yeah, and you can see the switching of the tile sets. It makes the variation. They're all different. It's kind of an interesting way to set up your tiles. So I left out a certain set here because I wanted to show how the probability on tile sets works. So I want to now add these tiles in, and I'm gonna just set the terrain up, and you're now gonna see if I go to tile map and I go like this, that is just, for me personally, if I click off without the grid, that's a little too chaotic in here. I want to decrease the probability of these being selected. And I didn't know this, but there's actually an option in TileSet for doing that. So if I go into Paint and I click on the Paint properties, I can go to Probability right under Terrain. And you're gonna see that all of the blocks have a property listed on them. And so I'm going to make it that they only have a 20% chance of being selected when using the auto tiling. So, and then I will just click on them and you'll see they'll change to 0.20, so, or 20%. So now if I go to my tile map and do the rectangle again and click off, there's way less. I think that looks way better. I might even bring it down to 10%, but you can tweak that yourself. And you can also make it so that these alternative tiles are less, but I kind of like how it looks, so I'm gonna leave it like that. So yeah, it's a really easy way to set up levels quickly. Okay, I'm gonna build out a level really quickly and we're gonna come back because I'm gonna show you guys another way that I add on to auto tiling to make the levels look even better with the same amount of effort. Okay, so I'll get back to you when I'm done building the level. One quick thing here, I forgot to do the physics layer. So I'm gonna come in here and select all of the physics layer objects. One other interesting thing I want to show you about tile maps is we can do animated tiles. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna come over to tile set. I'm gonna go to select. Actually, I'm gonna go into here first and I'm going to actually delete these. These cannot be selected if you're going to do animated tiles. So I'm going to come in and deselect them by right clicking and deleting. And now I'm going to go to select. And what I want to do is I want to click on the tile. I'm going to scroll down to animation. I'm going to do 4 columns. And there's no separation, they're right next to each other. And you just come down to frame, you do add element. You'll know it's working if it highlights that tile next to it. Oops. Oh, there we go. 4 columns, add element. There we go. So I can do the same to this one. 4, and then I would do add element, add element, add element. And I want to do a speed of 10 frames per second. So now if I come in here and I go to tile map, I can place these in, and it looks pretty cool. It's just another thing to add on top to make stuff look cooler. Okay, one last thing before we move on to the more advanced topic. If you're ever building out a map and you're going through and selecting stuff a bunch of times, that can be kind of annoying. So you can actually come over to the patterns tab here, and you can see I already put something in there, but if I go to the selection tool here, I can go ahead and just highlight this area, and you can literally just drag and drop it right in, and then you'll have this, and you can then go ahead and paste it around the map. So it actually can speed things up quite a bit. All right, back to the map making. Bonus tip, if you're ever wanting to place like stuff like coins or any other scene you've made, you can actually go to tile set, and I'm gonna want this on my midground. And what you can do is you can hit the plus button, you go scene collection, and you'll see now we have like the director's thing, like the scene logo. And if I save this scene, I'll just save it, and I can now go in here and just drag my coin scene into the scene collection. You have to be in tile set, that's why it didn't work when I was in tile map. So now if I click on that in tile map, I can go ahead and click in these elements. So now I can click these coins in, put them wherever I want. Yeah, just like that. Okay guys, this is the level that I designed. It doesn't actually, like the coins and stuff don't work right now. I just made this so you guys can kind of see what auto tiling can do. Like I built this level in the span of like, well, I fell off the map, but I built it in the span of like 7 minutes, and it didn't take me very long to get this far. And like obviously this is not good level design by any means, but you can see how fast you can be when you have auto tiling. You don't need to place all of these tiles like manually. It's huge, and especially with the randomization too, like it's just so nice not to have to go through everything. But I have one other topic that I want to show you guys that involves a tiny bit of code. So we're gonna get into that now, and that's the last bit of the video. Okay, so basically what I want to do is I have these decorative tiles here that I want to be placed on top of the top tile here, the upward facing tile. And how I would usually do it, I also keep in mind I have my layer split, so I have foreground, midground, and background. Foreground I have specifically so that when I place, let's say I grab one of these decorative tiles here, when I place it down, it's not gonna break the tile behind it, or else it would make this disappear. And I like the layering effect that comes with this. So the only thing on this is these base tiles and the water. That's basically it. So when I was first looking at the auto tiling, I kind of had 2 trains of thought with this. So there is a feature where you can select these by holding shift, and then you can go to the dice icon here and you can randomize it. So if I use like the line tool here, you can see it's randomizing, and that works. It definitely works. But the thing I don't like about it is that I have to go through and manually place them. And it's one of those things where it's like a decoration that you're not gonna really notice if it's different scene to scene. Like that's not really gonna affect you. Like this fern, maybe I wouldn't want to be random. Like I kind of would want to place this myself. So I kind of devised a little technique to doing this, which involves tile data. And how we're gonna do this is we're gonna set up a tile data type, and we're gonna label some of our tiles so we can access them in our code. So how I want to do that is I'm gonna click on our foreground layer, because we're gonna do this on our foreground layer, and I'm gonna scroll down to custom data layers, click on that, and then I'm gonna click add element, and I'm gonna name it type. And I'm gonna make it a string, and that's all we have to do for that. So now that we have that, we can actually go into our tile set, and we can go to paint, select property, and I can come down, and now we have a custom data element here, and it's called type, just like how I named it. So if I click on that, I have a field here that I can type in, and I'm gonna name this first type upward. So what I mean by that is I want to have access to all the tiles that are facing upwards, because I want to be able to place a decoration on any of those tiles. So these ones are upward. I'm going to go through and label all the upward tiles, and we'll continue once I'm done that. Okay, perfect. The other one I want to name is, I'm just going to call this decoration. You might want to have these not be strings if you were to do like a more scaled out project. Like you'd probably want to use an enum and have numbers and stuff, because if, let's say, I wanted to have a decoration underneath here, the way we're going to do it, I would need to label this something different. So we're just going to do, for this video, we're just only going to do the top layer, but you could have like vines hanging down, or like, I don't know what you do on the sides, but you could have something. Yeah, so we're now going to create a script, because now we have all of these named decoration. You can kind of see it. And then we have all these should actually not be named upward. Yeah, we have all of these named upward, all the upward tiles. So now we're going to go ahead and make a script. Okay, so we're going to start off by typing in a ready function. And at the top here, we're gonna want to make a couple variables. So we're gonna need access to all the used tiles, because we're gonna need to know where all of these tiles are so we can place decorations on top of them, right? And then we're also gonna need an array of all of our decoration tiles. And we're gonna get that from getting access to all of our tile atlas. Like this is our tile atlas, so we need all of these, we need all of this information, and we need all of our used cell information. So yeah, we're gonna get that first. So first of all, we want to get our used tiles. So I'm gonna make a variable called used tiles. So this is basically going to give us all the positions of our used cells that are on our tile map here. And it's gonna be for this specific layer. We're gonna go into that after we name a couple other things here. Now we want to get our access to our tile set, and I'm just going to set that equal to tile set. So tile set gives us this access to all the functionality of our atlas, all the tiles in our atlas here. So we're going to get a source variable, and then we're going to have our tile set resource that we got access to. And then we want to have get source, and get source is going to get us the exact atlas we want. So if I hover on one of these tiles here, you can see source 0. We only have one atlas in this tile set, so it doesn't really matter. But if you had more than one, you would want this to make sure you're looking at the right atlas. Okay, so now we're set up for success, and now we can start getting the tile data. So we're going to make a for loop, and now that we have access to our source here, we can get how many tiles we actually have in our atlas. And we're going to iterate through each one of these. So we're going to need a couple more variables in here. We're going to want an atlas chords variable here, and then we can get access to our atlas, and then we want to check each index. So this tile ID is basically just an index along here. So this would be like 0, 1, 2. So when we do get this ID, it basically you put an index in, and it will check at what index, what are the chords at this index. So that's how we're getting our atlas chords. So it's like nothing here, nothing here, nothing here. But once we get to this index, then we want to get the atlas chords. You can see them right there. 1, 1. The next variable we'll want is our tile data. And I was kind of stumped on this at first because I've done tile data before, but not like straight out of the atlas. And I found on the Godot docs that you can actually do get this data if you do dot this data on the source, and then you just throw in the atlas coordinates. And this 0 is for alt tiles. I don't have any alt tiles, so I just put 0 there. So now we have access to our tile data, and now we just need one more variable, and that will be our tile type. So now that we have our tile data, we can do get custom data, and then as before, when we typed it over here in inspector, we can then put that into here and it will return the type. So we'll know if it's a decoration tile or if it's an upward tile. So we're actually trying to access all of the decoration tiles. So I should have actually put one more variable up here. It will be decoration array, because we're gonna want to have access to the all the decoration tiles. So now we can use a conditional statement, and we'll check if tile type equals decoration. So if that's the case, then we can come into this if statement, and then we'll want to just append the atlas chords into our decoration array. Okay, I just ran that through a print statement here, and you can see in our output that we were successful. We have all of the atlas coordinates for each of those tile data. So it's gonna make more sense why we need this in a second, but we're gonna be basically placing these tiles into the world off of our other tile data, which is the upwards tile. So what we're gonna wanna do is we are gonna wanna iterate through all the tiles in our scene. So we have a for loop here, and we're gonna iterate through all of our use cells, and we're gonna look at each cell individually. So we'll need a variable because we want our cell data. So we're gonna use get cell tile data, which is actually different than get tile data, which I was very confused about earlier. So we put our cell in here, and then we extract our tile data, and then we just need one more variable, which is our cell type, which is the same as the one above here. So now I can come down here. So we'll say if cell type equals upward, and we're gonna want to use a function. We're gonna want to call a function called randomize decoration. And basically what we're gonna do is every time we find an upward facing tile, we're gonna want to have some kind of probability that it will place one of our decorative tiles, and it will choose this randomly. So what we're gonna need to do is we're gonna have to pass over two things. We're gonna need to pass over our cell's position, but we'll want it to be one above our cell because we want to place it not right on top, we want it to be one above. So we'll pass over a vector 2, and we're gonna do cell.x, cell.y -1 because we want it one above. Okay, and then we will also want to pass over our decorations array. Okay, so let's make that function. So we'll want to make that function. So we have our cell position, and we have our decoration array. So we're going to want to use some probability here. So we're going to want to get a random float between 0 and 1. And we'll use randf range, and we'll do between 0.0 and 1.0. So we'll want to use an if statement. If our probability is above 0.7, we will return from this function. If it's below 0.7, we can come in here, and we're going to set the position of our cell. So set cell puts a new cell into our tile map. So we're setting the position, this is our source ID, which again was 0. And our decor array here, that's our decoration array, we're gonna use .pickRandom, so it's gonna pick a random tile from our array. So if I click play, you're gonna see that now we have all of these randomly placed tiles, exactly how we wanted them to be. So if I come over here, you're gonna see it places them randomly. And every time we load this scene, they'll be slightly different, but you won't have to have gone through and placed every single one, which can just be tedious, to be honest. And like I said, if you guys have more ideas, like you could make tile, like you could make it so that decorations hang down from below, like vines and stuff. Yeah, so there's a lot you could do with this, I think. All right, guys, well, that's the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you learned something, and if you have any questions, please comment it below. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a like. If you have any suggestions for the next video, you can let me know. Again, if you like this asset pack, please go to my itch.io page and download it. I'd love to see you guys using it for your games. Anyways, till the next video, see you guys.